let us move to my top 5 candidates to win the Heisman Trophy through week 6. We're going to go 1 to 5 here. And I think number 1 is fairly obvious. Ohio State quarterback C.J. Stroud, who has thrown 6 touchdowns in a game 3 times this year. And I made this goof on the Saturday Night Live show. Shout to my producers who caught me, Tyler Wojak and Catherine Donnelly, going, hey, we know what you meant, but it's important to get it right. 21 of 26, right? That's 5 incompletions. So he threw 5 incompletions and 6 touchdown passes against Michigan State. Good Lord. We got to see Kyle McCord playing football in the third corner against a Michigan State team that started the year top 25. Obviously, they're hurt by injuries. Darius Snow, Xavier Henderson, among others. You can see how much they miss Kenneth Walker. Elijah Collins is back running the ball, and that's a blast from the past. I see things as before the plague year and after the plague year. 2019, Collins was the dude running the ball for the Michigan State Spartans. But Stroud has also thrown that one interception, and frankly, that wasn't his fault. It was on the fault of Emeka Egbuka, who struck back with one over the top. Point here is he's played flawless football for most of the year, and if Ohio State had allowed him to play every single minute of every single game, the numbers that he's putting up would be even more ridiculous. And he's the best player on the best team. You all know by now, I don't particularly enjoy how the Heisman is awarded, though I like the Heisman Trophy. I wish that it was more about football and not being a pageant contest, which means, are you the best player on the team that plays offense? Because the best player on the team usually doesn't play offense. But in this case, it's hard to go against one C.J. Stroud, who's just been phenomenal. Number 2 on this list for me, Michigan running back Blake Corum, who has been the dude that we thought he could be, or flashed that he could be, all of last year. And I say flash because Michigan fans would be like, hey, RJ, he had over like 700, 800 yards rushing last year. It's just Hassan Haskins was the dude, and they shared the ball. Now, Blake Corum is the feature back, and Donovan Edwards is the spell back, but you also get to use Donovan Edwards, not unlike Kevin Wilson was using DeMarco Murray at Oklahoma. You can split him out and have him running routes because his hands are so good, and he's a high school quarterback, which even says that he's probably going to throw another pass like he did against Iowa last year in the Big Ten Championship. I really love seeing that dude be used in the way that he's using Swiss Army knife for them offensively. But Blake Corum, goodness me, that dude has gone for over 100 yards rushing in every game he's been allowed to play. I mean, it's phenomenal what he's been able to do. It's phenomenal what the offensive line has been able to give him. And he's taken what looks like short runs and he's turning them into not just explosive plays, but touchdowns. Things that are designed to go for 3, 4, 5 yards. He's turning into 50-yard explosive plays, 20-yard explosive plays. He did that to seal a victory against Maryland. He was instrumental in sealing victories against Iowa. And of course, he showed out against Indiana late with Mike Hart being stretchered off the field after suffering a seizure. Emotionally, Michigan was challenged to try to play football with their running backs coach and a Michigan legend on their minds, and they answered the bell there. 31-10, they beat Indiana. Blake Corum is the best player on that Michigan team, having played every game. I think J.J. McCarthy could make his way onto this list if they allow him to keep doing what he was doing, which was outstanding against Indiana. I believe they've had something like 4 300-yard passing performances in the last 3 years at Michigan, and J.J. feels like the kind of dude that could put up 4 just this year, given the opportunity. Number 3 on this list for me, Georgia quarterback Stetson Bennett. And I go back and forth on this because it is very clear to me that Stetson Bennett is not the best player at the University of Georgia. If anything, Jalen Carter's got a lot to say about that defensively. But he handles the rock, and he's handled it well, and he's able to really complement the rest of the offense in a way that I think Kirby Smart really loves. This is a guy that is going to get the ball out to the playmakers, and then all of a sudden, he's going to be running quarterback draw, running like people are chasing him, running like he's about to get beat for stealing something. He's looking around as he's running, expecting to be caught, dives into the end zone. He's a fun guy. He's turned into a runner that I didn't think was there, and really a guy that's playing with some confidence that I didn't know he had. He also has a tremendous story, as you know. Walked on at Georgia, was forced to go the JUCO route to get back to Georgia on scholarship. They tried to play JT Daniels. He got hurt. Stetson comes in. Stetson takes over the job after getting being given opportunities to have the job beforehand. And he's grown into it. He led them to a national championship. Feels like at the very least, they're going to get back to the SEC championship, if not to the college football playoff again. It's quarterback-driven award for the Heisman, so this is a dude that gets to have those great odds as opposed to, again, Jalen Carter is a dude. He's outstanding. He's really good. Number 4 on the list for me, Tennessee quarterback Hendon Hooker. Might be the first and last time that he makes a Heisman list because playing against Alabama, it's going to be tough. But the good news for Volunteer fans is if Tennessee beats Alabama, Hendon Hooker is going to be at the center of it. And, I mean, you're going to be talked about as a team that is supposed to make the playoff, if not the SEC championship game, which means that people will pick you to beat Georgia. Love what Josh Heupel has going on in Knoxville as they get an opportunity to welcome Nick Saban back to Neyland. And I'm fired up for a quarterback that hasn't thrown an interception since November 13, 2021. Hendon Hooker takes care of the football. Perhaps they get Cedric Tillman back for this game, which means he'd have Cedric Tillman and Brew McCoy and Jabari Small, and they'd have that defense able to harass perhaps a Bryce Young that comes back. But if Jalen plays the way that he played against A&M, provided he has to play, I don't see how Tennessee cannot feel good about an opportunity to win that. And it's because Hooker takes care of the football. The offense they run is not dissimilar to the one that Jeff Lebby runs at Oklahoma, that Lane Kiffin runs at Ole Miss. If you can take care of the football, you can go at warp speed. You can do whatever you want. And Hendon Hooker is just that kind of quarterback. He's been outstanding for the last couple of years, growing into his own. But now that they are undefeated, 5-0, for the first time since 2016, I think we could talk about Tennessee the way that Phil Fulmer once wanted to talk about the Tennessee Volunteers. The Vols are back, and pretty soon we'll be taking a bite out of everybody we plays behind. Maybe want to phrase it differently, but you get the point, right? It feels like Tennessee is doing the Texas. They are back. And number 5 on the list, USC quarterback Caleb Williams. He's here because USC is undefeated, and when he has been good, he has been great. However, Travis Dye has been the reason that USC has been able to hold leads and finish games. He's had over 100 yards rushing in 4 out of their last 5 outings. I think if that dude isn't running the ball well and the offensive line isn't giving him holes to run through, we wouldn't be able to talk about Caleb Williams here at the Heisman Trophy, in contention at least, going into week 7. But again, undefeated, 6-0. They get Utah at Rice-Eccles. Maybe Utah's going to still play chippy because they still are the big defending Pac-12 champions and they still can make the Pac-12 championship game, but not if they don't hand USC their first loss of the season. It's also interesting here, the folks that I just kind of looked at but didn't make the list. Mentioned briefly, Spencer Sanders, again, I think is an outstanding player this year. Jahmyr Gibbs has been the unsung hero, I'd say nationally, outside of Tuscaloosa. But goodness me, that dude makes them go. And he gives them a dimension to their pass game as well as their run game that they just haven't had in a few years. Closest thing that I can think to that is Alvin Kamara, and he didn't even last at Alabama because he knew that the depth chart was just that deep. When you have a dude that can do the kind of things that Alvin Kamara could do in the pass game, that DeMarco Murray could do in the pass game, that Donovan Edwards can do in the pass game, it gives you so much more freedom to make and create matchups that are favorable for you. And I think Alabama is benefiting from that. For Caleb Williams to move up, I think he's just got to get back on the horse, start putting up 300-yard passing performances, 4 TD games. And we could talk about him the way that we talk about C.J. Stroud, the way we talk about Stetson Bennett when he's on, J.J. McCarthy when it's on. So that's my top 5 Heisman candidates following week 6, halfway point of the season, give or take. Thank you for watching the #1 college football show. Please remember to subscribe to the channel and like this video so that you don't miss any of the best college football coverage in America.